Hey, how's it going, guys? So today I'm going to be talking to you about a little bit about politics. In particular, I'm going to be talking today about the election of Donald Trump and just how improbable that was. And it was just a historic event, the likes of which I'm not sure we'll ever see again. I mean, this was a guy who had zero political experience up until he was elected or he decided to run. I mean, the closest thing I can think of, even though I wasn't alive at the time, the closest thing I can think of, to his election was Ronald Reagan becoming elected, because they have some similarities in the fact that Reagan was an actor, Trump was also an actor. He's been in tons of movies. I'm sure you all remember him being on Home Alone 2 in New York when Macaulay Culkin's walking down the hallway and he asks Trump where the bathroom is, and he tells him down the hall to the left. And you also remember him from The Apprentice on TV. He's really famous for that. But Reagan also, he was governor of California before he became president. So I mean, even he had some political experience. So just off of that alone, I got to give Trump the nod over him. But yeah, his election, it was crazy. Leading up to it, all the major news networks, MSNBC, CNN, all the major outlets, the New York Times, they all had polls coming out saying, Clinton has a 85% chance of victory, 90% chance. Some even had Trump only having a 3% chance of winning, which is crazy when you look back and think about it. But he did it. He pulled it off. A lot of people you've seen all the memes about Hillary blowing a 3-1 lead because, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what it was like. I mean, she was the heavy favorite the whole way, and it's just like this guy just came out of left field, and he threw all the cards up in the air, and that's what ended up happening. I mean, they had already had Hillary's name on the Time magazine titled "Madam President." They were ready to put those copies out the next day, and they never got to send them. Now, as far as some of the reasons why he was actually able to win, there's a lot of factors that play into that. You had a record number of candidates in the primaries. I believe it was 17. Going against each other in the Republican primaries. So, I mean, that kind of divided, the votes up a little bit, and everybody's votes were a lot more spread out. And then on the other side, you had, it was kind of already known or a foregone conclusion that Hillary Clinton would be the Democratic candidate as far as running for the presidency in 2016. So everybody kind of knew that was coming. But I really think that, like the main factor in him, in terms of him winning, was just that you had a lot of voters and you had a lot of people that were they were tired of the establishment. They were tired of electing all these people to Congress and putting them in positions of power and voting for the same candidates over and over again for president, establishment types like Jeb Bush and Rudy Giuliani and all these other people, and they had just historically not been keeping their promises, and people were just fed up and tired of it, and they wanted something different. I mean, they saw all the corruption with the Clinton scandal and how she wasn't, she wasn't properly being held accountable for her actions, and then, I think all those deciding factors, and then how, the economy wasn't doing as great as far as the recovery goes under Obama. There was a lot of job-killing regulations, and it just wasn't. The economy wasn't recovering from the recession of '08 like it should have. We didn't have over 3% gross domestic product growth in any quarter of Obama's 8 years, and that's kind of sad when you think about that. And I don't blame that all on the president. I know that there was probably other factors that came into play. But yeah, just the average everyday person was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the same old, and when you sit down and think about it, it really takes a lot for someone to get to the point to where they're going to say, hey, I'm going to elect someone like Donald Trump, as opposed to these other career politicians that have all this experience and know it all over him. And so, just in that sense alone, I mean, it was historic. I also think that Trump had both timing and a little bit of luck on his side in terms of winning the election. About a month prior to Election Day in November, you had the release of the Access Hollywood tape, and I think we all remember that when Trump was talking about grabbing women inappropriately by their private parts. And I mean, when that came out, even people on the Republican side of the aisle were just, they were all turning their backs on him. Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, everyone in Congress. Because ultimately it was just something you could not defend that. I mean, the way he was talking about women in there, it honestly disgusted me. I couldn't believe it. And everybody in the news, everybody in his campaign, everybody thought this was it. Like, everybody thought this was the straw that was finally going to break the camel's back. That he had gotten away with so much up until this point, but this was it. It could go no further. You even had people in his own campaign that were asking him. I believe his campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, asked him after that tape was released. He said, are you going to withdraw from the race, or are you going to resign? And Trump said no. He's like, I'm going to keep pushing. I've already come this far. I owe it to my voters. And he stuck with it, even in spite of all that, even in spite of something that honestly would have probably ended anybody else's political career. He was able to overcome that, and that was astonishing. And then the luck part about it was, about a week before Election Day, a week and a half before Election Day, the Clinton email server investigation was reopened by James Comey. And up until that point, Clinton, all the polls showed her leading by a very comfortable margin, 15 to 20 points. Showed no indication that Trump had any chance of winning on Election Day. And when the news broke that they reopened the server, the next day, all the Rasmussen polls, all the major polls showed that Hillary's numbers came down a little bit. And every day inching closer towards the Election Day on that Tuesday, her numbers kept coming down, and the race kept getting a little tighter, and that really threw all the cards up in the air on Election Day. And then on Election Day itself, even at the beginning, when those exit polls started coming in, it wasn't looking good. It was looking like Clinton was still gonna win very comfortably by a landslide. And then as the exit polls started coming in a little later in the evening, around 6 o'clock, 7, when people were getting off work and making those last-minute runs to the polls, everything just started shifting, and it was incredible to watch on TV. It was something that I certainly didn't expect. I certainly expected the next day for Hillary Clinton to be president, and Trump's margin of error was slim. He basically had to win every state he did to win the presidency. I mean, he had to win Florida, he had to win Ohio, he had to win all the swing states, he had to win states that a Republican hadn't won in 40 years, like Michigan. And he did it. He pulled it off, and just seeing him walk on that stage, even though I didn't even vote for him, it was incredible to see somebody that had no political experience ever, give an acceptance speech to be the 45th president of the United States, and it's definitely something I'll never forget. And I think another thing that's going to be interesting going forward is how many other celebrities make the attempt to throw in their hat for the presidency in the future. Because in the last few years since Trump won, that kind of let other people come out of their shell a little bit and have the courage to step up and potentially make a run at the presidency. Because since then, you've had people like Oprah Winfrey, Kanye West, even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has come out and thrown out the possibility out there of maybe making a run for it in 2020. Now, do I think that will actually happen? I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. But it does make things a little more interesting going forward, and I do believe that it may not happen next election, but I do think in the future you will see other celebrities attempt to run for president now. based off of what Donald Trump did, and that's why I really believe that his election was, so historic, and he really did change the game forever.